Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to a very overcast and rainy Moscow region. Today, I thought I'd show you something rather interesting. It's a low-cost supermarket, and it just opened a few days ago, and it's actually their 2000th location in Russia. And I thought it'd be interesting to go and see what a brand new supermarket looks like in 2024, right now. And first, I want to show you something next door, which might be even more interesting than the actual supermarket. Let's go. If anybody is from Moscow who's watching and you're wondering where I might be, I'm really out in the suburbs of Moscow today in a place called Bulatnikovskaya, and I had to take a train, a metro, and a bus to get here. I really wanted to come and see this 2000th store. Lots of very typical Soviet apartment buildings and what they call panel buildings nearby. Very much a suburban area of Moscow. There is also a small shopping center here, which has probably been here for quite a lot of years. And this would be considered a rynek or a market. It has lots of little small shops inside. It's actually called Turquoise, which is quite interesting, where they got the name from. Now, where we want to go is a place called Chizhik, and it's this place on the left-hand side here, this yellow-looking store. However, there is a little doorway here going into the side entrance of this market, and hopefully I can show you why perhaps we don't even need to go shopping at Chizhik when there's this very nice food market right here. Now, being that it's an older building, it's not beautiful, it's not, perhaps well maintained as it should be. However, it's got lots of little shops, lots of places where you can buy different types of food. Here we can see lots of meats and salamis. There is another one over here with some vegetables and fruits, and also some different drinks as well. They're very small stores. They're essentially little micro shops, I think is the best way to describe it. This one's a fruit and veg store. There is actually a franchise shop here, which also has meats and hams. We actually have one of these literally next door to where I live as well. Lots of sausages, and you can also get some frozen food as well. Also some pastries and cakes. Now there is about 8 shops here, so I think we should show these definitely before I go in to the actual supermarket. There's a really interesting one here with lots of spices. They've even got some barbecues as well. And you can buy all of these different dried fruits and nuts by weight or by the kilo. Very nice choices. They always sell these plates as well when you see these dried fruit shops. And it's a very interesting concept what they have. And then there is another one over here with just sweets and candy. And this is also all by weight. And you've got literally hundreds of choices of different candy. And you buy it by the weight, so normally 100-gram amounts. And have a look, very nice cakes as well, different types of pastries. And then you've also got more pay-by-weight candy, so you literally can just scoop it into a bag, buy as much or as little as you like, and you're good. There is one more here on the opposite side. This one has a little bit of everything. These are essentially mini supermarkets, and they have all the prices in front of the item, normally with a sticker. This is incredibly typical of anywhere in Russia where you would go to a rynek or market like this, and there's literally a bit of everything. And then over here, different fruits and vegetables. And then you can see again spices at the back there. There's also some drinks and some nice different fruits. Of course, if you want classic potatoes, carrots, they have them as well. And then on the other side, there's another one. And each one of these generally has a bit of a specialty. And a lot of people will go to a certain one. There is lots of choices of salo here, which is the fat of the animal. And it doesn't look appealing to some people, but it's very tasty. And I'm not sure at what point it's actually healthy and good for you. There's also some different pickled vegetables there as well. I don't want to get in people's way. There's also some nice choices of cheese. And again, lots of biscuits that you can get by weight as well. And I think, do we have one more? Oh, we have the frozen shop. This we also have where I live as well. And this is normally just a counter. And you can get different types of food which is frozen. And even they've got frozen vegetables as well. And you just buy this by weight also. Generally, if we're buying anything from here, it would be the pilmeni or the dumplings that you see just there. And that's every part of a supermarket that you'd possibly need in these 8 or 10 different stores. This particular market is really nowhere near where I live. It's about 2 hours away. Where I live in Moscow region, I actually have 2 of these style of shops that I can come to, or food markets, and both of them are around about 10 minutes apart from each other. So I don't need to go to a supermarket. If I've got all of these choices, my wife loves coming to these sorts of shops because it's more friendly. You generally get to know the staff that work there because you go there often. And a lot of it's all by weight. So you're not buying packages, you're buying what you want and need to eat today or tomorrow, and that's it. The whole reason I came to this area of Moscow was to come to this Chizhik. And this store right here is considered a hard discounter or a low-cost supermarket. It does have quite a few different names and terms. Some people do like to call it a beggar's market. Now, personally, I don't think that's the right term to use. Now, more than likely, this building had a different business in this location right here. And I wonder which store was here before, who decided to leave. And then Chizhik's come along and took over this lease of this location. Now there is actually a sign here letting everybody know that this is the 2000th location and didn't open too long ago. I was trying to get here earlier, but because it's so far across the other side of Moscow, it's not so simple if I've got other plans on a daily basis. It's open every day from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m, which is very nice. And then let's go on inside, quite literally. Now, one thing that's very interesting with Chizhik is the way they've got their store laid out, and the fact there isn't perhaps a traditional wide entrance to go inside. So there is an exit over here where these people are going to walk out now, and there isn't a way that you can walk in that way if the door is closed. And then what they want you to do is go this way and head on inside. And then the idea of the store is it's a walk-around shop. So you don't simply just head to the section where you want to go shopping at and then head out the exit. So they've actually got this fence right here. Now this is in all Chiziks in Russia. It's not really a new idea. It's just something that they're doing to make us walk around in a circle in the store and eventually get to the exit. The only types of basket I see are these plastic pull baskets. These are in all supermarkets in Russia. They're very common and very typical. They do actually have nice central heating in here as well. It is a little bit cooler outside, so the weather is starting to get not so amazing every day. Now, what I'll do is I think I'll walk around and point out some of the different things on the shelves. And let's see if we can find some bargains. Just for a point of interest, if you have a look what today's exchange rate is. So $1 is right about 97 rubles. So anything that we see on the shelves at essentially less than 100 rubles is less than $1 or $1. Now, I don't generally show too many other currencies because it gets complicated. However, the US dollar is an easy worldwide currency to compare against. Now, the one thing that Chizhik does is they don't necessarily have weekly specials, and they don't advertise certain items as being discounted on a weekly basis. They have all the time low prices. So no matter when you come in, you'll know that the price won't change from week to week. They do have a bit of a mixture of things at the end here. We can get some cakes. Now again, anything that's less than 100 rubles, you're amounting in your head to less than $1. So 50 cents for some pasta shells. And then the other thing that's a little bit different with Chizhik is a large amount of the products in here aren't branded products that are traditionally in all Russian supermarkets. They do have a very small percentage of products that are actually the branded items, and then they've got a lot of their own in-house branded products where they get them made by Russian manufacturers for Chizhik. So they'll generally be from the same factories. However, they're branded with their own names on and own words on, which a lot of times when we're coming into this store and everybody coming in is looking at things and they're a little bit confused because one brand may look recognizable, but then the next brand won't. I did notice just here, they've got Lay's stacks and less than $2. If you want sunflower seeds, there is plenty of choices. Now the aim really is to find things that are less than $1, and we know it's a good deal or it's cheap. Now the first thing in this aisle we're seeing is lots of snacks and candy and treats. However, it's very common in Russian supermarkets. They have Oreos right here, about $1.40 for some Oreos. The other thing that they do very smartly in this store, or in this chain of stores, is they request all the manufacturers to make the packaging to fit on their shelves. And then when they receive the stock, they literally take it off the pallet, they can put it on the shelf, and it's what's called shelf-ready packaging. So the actual size and depth of the shelf is given to the manufacturers so they understand about how they can fit the products on the shelf nice and neatly. And then when the staff come to fill the shelves, everything fits absolutely beautifully. There's nothing over the edge. Now, if you worked in supermarkets, that's one of the critical things where stuff hangs over the edge of the shelf. And the design of all the packaging is such that they can fit either one box deep or 2 boxes deep. Now, I'm going to see if we can find a good example of it. There's lots of baby food right here. There is also some porridge and oats. I think this one might be the one my wife buys for 50 cents. And then lots of candy and sweets. They have also all of the Western brands as well. $1 for a pack. And then you can see here Bounty. Now these are the little snack size ones. However, they're very inexpensive. I was just asking one of the staff members what the store was previously to this taking over, and it was actually a shoe shop. It would have to have been a very large shoe shop, I think. And as I'm walking around, lots of people coming in. I would imagine most people live very local to this store and haven't been to a Chizhik before, because this is a relatively new brand in Russia, although 2,000 of them is a lot. They're not everywhere in Russia just yet, and even in Moscow, they aren't everywhere. There is some long life milk right here for 80 cents or thereabouts. And let's have a look at the eggs. Now the other thing that Chizhik does, they've got a lot of things on pallets and on stacked boxes like this. This is very typical in a lot of low-cost supermarkets. So the pack of 10 eggs is only 70 cents. And this would be their private label brand and very classic box of 10 eggs. And generally what they'll do is they'll just get a small amount delivered. It'll last a day or two, and they'll get some more delivered. Now this sort of store doesn't have a bakery, so they've only got packaged bread. So this would all come from a nearby local Moscow-based bakery. However, the basic loaf of bread is 35 cents for the classic loaf of bread. Then a lot of the bread, generally in packaging like this, comes in half loaves. So you're just paying 40 cents for a small loaf of bread. There is also some pastries as well. These are always very nice. We get the different fruit flavored ones. And then in Chizhik, also, they don't have a large display of fruit and vegetables. Normally they just have a couple of boxes and that's it. They keep it as simple as possible. And then they get the deliveries more often and they can keep the stock more manageable as well. So rather than having half a shop of fruit and vegetables, they just get a few boxes at a time and that's it. So 30 cents a kilo for cabbage. Actually the same price for onions and carrots. Cucumbers for just about $1 a kilo. And nice big tomatoes right there for about $1.50 per kilo. Now I'm not necessarily wanting to round everything up or down. I really want to show how inexpensive this shop is generally and show that this type of store works, whether it's here in Russia or somewhere else in the world. And the simple nature of the store for the actual dairy section here at the back, they've actually got the shelf-ready packaging also. So the only task the employee that works here has is just to rip open the boxes and slide them right into the spot where they're intended to go. Lots of yogurts, so these are all individual packaging, pretty much about 40 cents or less. And then I think here is all of the milks. So again, they just get the minimum delivery that fits on the shelf as well. The idea is everything they receive will fit on the shelves and they don't have any stock in the back. So a classic bottle of milk for less than $1. It's just a little bit under 1 liter. They seem to have this shrinkflation thing that's happening everywhere in the world, and they reduce the size. If we need some butter, depending on which size you want, 50 cents or $1 for butter. And then as we come around, we'll actually have a look at all the different dairy items so we can get an idea of what they've got. And we'll go down the aisles. So there is lots of people having a look at all the choices. So we saw, before we walked in, about 6 or 7 shops with salamis and meats. And these are all pre-packed, of course, so the price is what you pay. Over this side, they've also got some fish and some packaged fish items as well. There's also some pickled vegetables there. The ones that I normally buy are just these sachet type ones on the top for around about $1 a pack. My wife is more of a salami person, and the minute I'm filming, everybody always crowds in the shop. Before I started, there was hardly anybody walking in and out, and the minute I've come inside now, the aisles are full with shoppers. Of course, all of the people that you see in this store right now are all paid actors. So what they're doing is they're just walking around, grabbing things, and then what they do, they get to the end of the store and leave them, and they come back in again and do another lap around. And I do that specially, so I've arranged about 50 people to be here, and no, I haven't. This is a suburban store, and lots of people live locally, and they're doing their own shopping. The overall size of the store is not very big. Now, this is considered a supermarket, but it's not the size of Globus or Ashan, which are the bigger hypermarkets. These are much smaller, more manageable sizes of shops for you to come shopping in, where you're not stuck here for the whole day, having a look at everything on every shelf. Depending on where you live in the world, the size of this store may compare very closely to Aldi. And I think that's an easy comparison of the store here and what Aldi is like, depending on where you live in the world. Some people in Europe maybe go to Lidl, and it would be also quite similar in size to that. On the other side of the eggs and milk, they actually have a big pallet here of sugar. So the other idea too is they don't need to have branding on any of the products. They can use a supplier to supply the products to their specifications. And by not doing any branding or colored packaging, it brings the price down as well. So you're paying 60 cents for a kilo of sugar. Actually, right next to it is other cooking items. So you've got here flour. So the 2 kilos of flour is 70 cents. And if you want the 1 kilo one, it is 55 cents. Now this one right in front of me here is probably the more known brand from other stores. I think perhaps this one maybe the in-house brand. So generally their own branded label products are cheaper than the branded ones. That would be obvious that it would be like that. And then I think salt here, 35 cents. So there is other types of cooking items here as well. I'm just trying to have a look. I think there's some rice and then pasta. The Barilla one is a very big version. This is a 1 kilo box. There we go, the #1 pasta in Italy. And I wonder if it really is. Perhaps if somebody from Italy can let me know. The normal sizes of pasta are all under 50 cents. These bottom couple of shelves. Maybe they've got the 1 kilo one just to create a point of difference with the pricing as well. And as we go down further, there's instant noodles and these pot noodles. I think a lot of people may recognize the color of the packaging. The most famous one in Russia here is dosarak. This one is 50 cents. Boiling water, and you've got yourself a meal. And then sunflower oil, you're looking at just about $1 depending on the brand. There's again the branded product and then the local domestic product. Now they're all still from Russia and they're probably from factories not too far away from each other traditionally. So there's not a huge difference from most people which one they choose. Very limited amount of canned food, pretty much limited to some fruit and then peas and corn. Then there's also olives as well here and canned fish. So if you look generally at a lot of the shelves, there isn't a lot of items that are over that 100 ruble threshold. And that's, for me, the critical low price for items. So if you can get it under $1, if possible, then psychologically in our heads, we know it's cheap. If you want some different types of sauces from vegetables, also right here. Now, I did notice now a few people have got the baskets. I think they don't have many of them in this store because of the size of the shop. Anybody needs water? So these are the very typical ones. They come in 5-liter jugs for right about 50 cents. And again, no branding on the packaging. Okay, they've got one little label right there, but it keeps the price low and inexpensive. And then we've got toilet roll, $1.50. Let's just move around a little bit more right here. And then this other brand for $1.40. I don't use this brand, so I don't know it. Again, it's probably a Chizhik brand. You can actually see here on this upper shelving where they've got all the cooking sachets, how they fit exactly on the shelf to the exact depth. So where it slides back right there, you'll fit that everything fits beautifully, and they don't have to work too hard to get the shop looking nice. A little bit of meats. Probably Chizhik is not very well known for their meat products, and a lot of people will go to a butcher. However, if you need a pack of chicken, you're paying about $2 for a pack of chicken. So if you want chicken legs or chicken thighs. And there is some beef here as well. I'm not very good at reading the packaging, but right about $3, depending on the size that you want. There's even some mince. So these are all 400-gram packaging for different mince brands. So I think there's some actual pork mince and then beef mince as well. And on the top here is all the sachets that you'd use for cooking. These are all very inexpensive, normally 20 cents to about 40 cents That goes for any shop you go to. You can buy them commonly everywhere. And then what have we got? We've got the personal care section. Again, not very big. The shop overall isn't a large store, so they don't need aisles of the same products. The other idea too is just to have one or two choices in a category. So there's only one or two types of shampoo, one or two types of deodorant, and then even for things like tissues and personal care items, you don't need 15 or 20 brands of something. One or two is enough. I think the real question I have for everybody, when we walked in initially, or when we went to the other part of the market and saw those smaller mum and dad type shops that have probably been here 10 years, 20 years or longer, is that where you'd prefer to go shopping? Or do you want to come to a low cost, hard discounter like this? And let me know in the comments what your preference is. Do you like that personal shopping experience in the little tiny shops? Or do you want to come to this sort of store, grab everything, pay, and head on home? They have a little bit of frozen food on the other side here, some frozen vegetables and some strawberries. And there is also a pizza as well. What are we paying for pizza? I think about $2.50 for a pizza. And then the ketchup's not a good example because the size is quite different. However, the Heinz half-kilo pouch is $1.30. And then I think this is their in-house brand. This one is 350 grams, so it's obviously smaller, but right about 60 cents. I think the cheaper one really works just as well, and especially if you're not going to use such big packaging. There's also some hot sauce here as well, and then some different types of mustard and mayonnaise. This might be very interesting for a few people, just to compare the price of the pet food and the fact that they come in sachets. Now, the very well-known worldwide brand Whiskas right here is 20 rubles, and then the store brand is called Watson, and this is 12 rubles. So 12 cents versus 20 cents for the cat food, and then I think the dog food is quite similar. Okay, there's a few rubles difference in the price. So this is pedigree. I think this is also worldwide in every shop. And then the Watson brand is the in-house Chizhik brand. Now, what's very interesting is why it's called Watson, and why is it not a Russian brand or a Russian company's name? And the idea is where the company has decided to use a third-party manufacturer and package it for this store, they're using an English word, which then represents perhaps that it's an imported product or it's a internationally known brand. Now, Watson, I've never seen or heard of before, but there's a lot of association in Russia with Western names on products, and it then puts it in your head that it's better because it's called a Watson. Of course, it's cheaper, but I think obviously your pet will tell you whether they love it or not, and if it's a more enjoyable food for your cat or dog. They've got some juices here, so all of these pretty much less than $1. The one here from the fruit a little bit higher. And then on this right hand side is all the different drinks. So there's energy drinks, then all of the sodas, and pretty much all of these are all of the store brands, and they look obviously a little bit different. They look quite similar to a lot of Western brands. However, they're just orange or cola or lemon. And I think if you go to even a supermarket in Australia or in America, the house brand is not any different. I mean, it's considerably cheaper as well. 90 cents for the 2-liter packaging. And over here they've got some cleaning supplies. You'll see also here with the cleaning supplies, they do have some of the brand name products. Everybody knows Tide and Ariel. These are quite well known. And then there's, again, these in-house branded products. I think they might have done the same with the washing up liquid as well. Actually, this is a little bit bigger, the Fairy one versus the in-house one. But quite a difference in the price though. And then it's a matter of making that decision. Is it better? Is it worth spending that much more for something? And then they do also have beer in this store as well. Let's see if there is any branded beer. So we've got Budweiser, and that's 75 cents a can. And then Corona, which we all know is from Mexico. There is no choice about that product. $1.30. So a lot of the beer is really only between 50 cents and $1 for all of the choices. Baltica is pretty well known in Russia. 65 cents for a can. And then there are some ciders as well. I'm not a big lover of cider. I think once you've had a bad experience drinking it, you don't want it again. So this was the chips that we saw at the beginning. They've got them duplicated on this other side over here, appropriately very close to the beer. So the idea is you get the snacks and then you get the beer at the same time. Because this store has only been open a few days, quite literally, this middle aisle here hasn't got any stock on it. Now, it's not that there's shortages. However, this is their seasonal aisle or promotional aisle. And this is very much like Aldi and what they do, where they've got the baskets of different products and they're for sale for generally a week or 2 weeks. They get one delivery and then sell through it. And then they get the next one. There is a few items here. I would think that they were probably in a rush to get the store open. So it's a bit of a shame we can't see some of the items. It's always such a mismatch of things. I think if you've been to an Aldi before, you'd know the same process when you come into the store. You came in for some eggs and milk and you ended up buying a tent or some tools for your car. So they do actually have the advertising of the items of what they would have, but they're not on the shelves, so unfortunately. I noticed this as I walked. I just had to stop filming for a second because there was a gentleman in the store who was a little bit emotional about me filming and recording. Now, in Russia, it is completely allowed to film in public places. It's completely allowed to film in shops and businesses, exactly like I'm doing. And there's a law that allows me to film as well. And he was just a little bit excited about it. He actually went and spoke to the store manager, and the manager knows that I'm making a video in here, so it's not a problem at all. However, you'll generally see in the background a lot of my videos, people, you know, perhaps turning around and just realizing that I'm speaking English. It's really not a problem for me. I film a lot of things in public places, and I think most people are a little bit just taken back when they realize someone's speaking English in their local shop somewhere nowhere near the center of Moscow. So it's really no worries at all, but it does happen occasionally. Pretty much about one shop in 100 it'll be like that, where someone will pretty much want me to leave the shop on the spot. However, I'm here to show you what Chizhik looks like. I just noticed on the wall by the beer there's an interesting sign here about beer from Germany, and it says real beer from Germany on the sign. Like, is there any other type of beer if it's coming from a different country? The other sign they've got on all the aisles talks about the quality of the products and the fact that they don't have GMOs, or they're not using it in any products. And also, if you want to return your item, even without a receipt, you can get a full refund as well. And the fact that they also test for the quality of the products and make sure everything is up to standard as well. I wanted to see if I could find some imported items in this store so I can show you what they do with the signage. As I've walked around, about 99% of the stuff in here is all Russian produced. I think only the beer and maybe some chocolate is imported here into Russia. So I've walked around for quite a few minutes looking for imported items, and here on the Old Spice, the deodorant stick, so on the signage they've got the country of origin or country of manufacture on it, and pretty much everything you're going to see Russia as the common word on a lot of them. Over on the Old Spice right here, it's from Czech Republic, and then the ladies one, this Garnier brand, is from Poland. That's really interesting, and especially on products that are in a brand new store. And how have they made it here to Russia? Here on the chocolate they've got some Ritter, and this one is from Germany. Now all the others I see have the Russia word on the labels or signage that it's produced in Russia. So even some of the Western brands, like you see here, Mars, is actually produced in factories in Russia domestically. Okay, this is the last one I'm going to point out. I promise I was trying to find things from different countries, and the Gillette shaving foam is from United Kingdom. And actually they've got the country of origin on the barcode right there if you look closely. So there is definitely imported items in here. Now it's probably a small percentage of everything in the shop, but if you look closely you can find some. It's definitely interesting when you have a look closer at the signs and when you see the country of origin on the shelves, and you see, of course, Russia dominate these sorts of shops. And of course this is very typical for all Russian supermarkets. Generally about 90% of the items are made in Russia across all food categories. So it's just interesting when you see an item from United Kingdom 2 years after these companies said they're not in Russia, and I'm in a brand new shop that opened days ago, and it's right there on the shelf. I missed them on the way in, but there is actually shopping baskets in the store, and what happens is as people pay and go through the checkout, they've actually got a pass-through for the baskets to be put back into the parking spot for them, and everybody can grab them again and start shopping. As I slowly make my way out of the store, I just grab myself a drink. Lots of people pretty much join the line right behind me. And they do actually have chairs for the staff here, but I think they like to be a little bit more active, and it's designed around being a little bit faster. But there is nice comfy chairs. There's no self-checkout in these stores, so you have to come to the lady to pay. I did just notice too, they've got some shocking prices. They've got chicken for $3 a kilo, and then I think the other one is milk. And then also recognized brands, it says right there in Russian. So of course you can find some brands that you're used to buying, along with a lot of the Chizhik in-house brands as well. As I head on out of the store, I really hope you found this shopping tour interesting. Of course, the whole idea was to come to this store and come for a walk around and get an idea of what a brand new store looks like here in Russia, and what a discount or hard discount store looks like. And this is a perfect example of that. This is very typical, although there's only 2,000 of them. Doesn't sound like a lot, does it? Keep in mind there's other brands of shops quite similar to this, and I'll put some links to those in the description and in the cards of the video. So if you want to see some of the competing brands with Chizhik. Now, again, you can see that door right behind me to the food market. Where would you prefer to shop? The supermarket or the food market? Let me know which side you're on, and let me know in the comments if you saw something that you want to eat right now. I'm sorry I didn't put a warning at the beginning. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. That'll be very nice. Post some comments, let me know what you think of this beggars market. I don't like that term, and it gets used a lot. And even the fact that I live in Russia, I don't like the word beggars market. I think it's not nice and not polite to call it that, even though there's still a lot of people who do like to use that word and expression. If you want to follow me on Telegram, there's a link right here. And then if you want to watch an old video, click this link. You can check out something else on the channel you've not seen before. Okay, everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.